everybody, John Graham here. I'm the Director of Instruction at Webster Golf Club and a Senior AimPoint instructor. And today the topic is about probability. Now a lot of people have heard about AimPoint and they think it's just about, how do I choose the right target and things like that. Well, I'm here today to show you how you can use it in a way that's beyond that. It's more than that. AimPoint is much more than that. So the topic of today is the difference between your likelihood of making the correct read based on two different locations. So I've chosen two locations today, one being a putt that's from pin high directly across the slope, and another putt that's at a 30-degree angle up the slope, something fairly near straight. So between, if you want to use a clock face picture idea, around 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, either side, whichever. And I'm going to show you this in terms of a range of possible reads that would still make the ball go in. Initially I'll start with an assumption of hitting it about a foot by the hole, and then you'll see quickly that how that can be adjusted based on the situation. So for example, if we take a look at a slope that's 2%, which would be a very common slope where the pin would be located, a very common slope percentage on tour. It would be the most common pin location that we run across on a daily basis. So if we deal with that slope amount, how steep the ground is, and we place the ball at two of these angles directly across the slope, pin high 90 degrees, or at 30 degrees up the hill, and if we look at the range of reads between 3 feet and 10 feet, we get to see some very interesting things. So I'm going to show it to you in 3 stimps. Then I'm going to change the slope amount to make it a steeper one, and then show it to you again. So first let's look at what the range of reads would be between 3 feet and 10 feet at a 90-degree angle. So at 3 feet, on a stimp 8, that would give us a read of right on the edge. Again, this is assuming hitting about a foot by the hole. At 10 feet away, that read would be roughly 6 inches away. So every read between 3 and 10 feet falls somewhere inside this range between on the edge and 6 inches away, assuming hitting a foot by the hole and assuming a green speed of 8. Alright, so now let's look at it, what the range of reads would be if I'm coming from that 30-degree angle. So that range goes from inside the edge, about an inch, so something about here, to an inch away, to here. Here's the range of all of the reads between 3 and 10 feet. You can see how tiny that is. You can see how much easier it is to make the correct read repeatedly from all of those distances. You could very easily convince yourself quickly that if I chose one spot, I could probably make every single one of them if my speed was just a little different between each one. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of probability of makes. We've all heard of keeping the ball below the hole. I'm just going to give you some math to really support that. If you're putting from at a 30-degree angle or somewhere around 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, not only is it easier to putt from there, but the range of choices where the reads occur is also smaller. You have a greater probability of choosing an answer that's correct. All right, I hope you understand this. Let's do this again now for 10 stimp. So this was an 8, let's do 10. So for a 10 stimp at a 90-degree angle, here's the range. It goes from an inch out to 9 inches out. So once again, now we have a putt that's pin high across the slope. Slope percent is 2% in terms of how steep it is, a very common one. Here's the 3 foot, here's the 10. You can see the spread has gotten bigger as the green speed has gotten bigger. Our probability of choosing the correct read has gotten smaller. The space has gotten larger between all the possible outcomes. Let's do it now from 30 degrees. So that range goes from right on the edge to 2 inches out. It's the exact same spacing. I've got a 2-inch space again for all of the reads between 3 and 10 feet. Much easier to choose the correct target if I'm putting from a specific location versus another. Let's do a 12 step. 90 degrees to the side. Goes from 1 to 12. Now I got an 11-inch space for that extra stimp speed again from 10 to 12. Let's see how it adjusts from 30 degrees up the hill. That one goes from 0 to 3. It only changed by an inch between an 8 stimp, a 10, and a 12 from that one location. So when you're learning AimPoint and using it, it's not only just picking a good line, good target, it's also strategizing and placing yourself in places where you have the best probability of choosing the best target based on the situation. All right? So just to kind of summarize, so we've been dealing with putts from two different angles, 30 up and 90, and we've been dealing with a slope steepness of 2, a very average slope, putts between 3 and 10 feet, and stimps of 8, 10, and 12. So let's look at it now from a steeper slope. Let's do 4%. We'll go through this process again. So 4%, much steeper slope, 90 degrees, on an 8 stimp. Here's the range. From 3 to 17. Quite a big difference between a 2% and a 4% slope. All right. Now our range is out to 14 inches in terms of the total spread of reeds between 3 feet and 10. So let's go back to our 30 degree angle. So that one goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 to 4. Barely increased at all. Once again, I hope you see the pattern here. Let's do 8 or 10 step. 90 degrees. Goes from 5 to 25. Bigger spread still. Now I got 20 inches of spread at 90 degrees. Let's go back to 30 at a 10 stimp. From right on the edge to 6. Again, tiny spread. That's what we're looking for when we're trying to predict break. So I hope this helps you understand the importance of strategy when you're choosing where to hit your iron shots and where you want to be putting from. Once again, AimPoint is much more than just choosing the line. It's helping you strategize to find the best place to choose that line from. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, check me out on Twitter at John Graham Golf, and please leave questions and comments if you have them in the video below. Thanks. Bye-bye.